Hello everyone, and let's talk about the Scoundrel healer. We've done the other two healers. We've done the should you play a Sage, should you play a Merc, or Commando, should we say. We'll get to the Scoundrel. It took us a while to get to this one. I was gonna delay this a little bit and just wait until patch 3.3. However, I decided what the hell, patch 3.3 is quite a while away. It's not coming till, I think it's the end of July really, so it's few weeks away from patch 3.3 and the big changes that are coming. So we'll talk about the Scoundrel healer because I'm playing it again, maining it again, back to maining it again because the other because we split into two raid teams now, and you know the other healer is a commando, and you don't really want two commandos, so I'll go back to the Scoundrel then. Get a bit of AoE healing, let the commando heal both tanks, let the commando deal with that burden, and I will go and do the AoE raid healing and the hotting up. That is your role essentially as a Scoundrel healer. You're not much of a burst healer. Your sustained output it's okay. When you get to the higher gear levels, obviously it gets a lot better. I mean, I'm sort of 192, crossing over into 198, looking for a Revenite. I think I've got 3 Revenite pieces now. I've got the 2 relics and an implant. Both Revenite relics, which are pretty nice, and we've got the implant, which is pretty nice. A lot of crit, a lot of alacrity is what we want as a Scoundrel healer. Big crits are a big thing for a single target healing. Certainly, we do rely a lot on Underworld Medicine critting. It does have a 30% crit bonus, so we want to at least have minimum 25% crit. Make sure we have that. Probably edging closer to 28, maybe even 30% crit. I'm sitting at 27% crit right now, but I am planning on tinkering around with the crit, maybe push it a little bit towards the 30% and see what kind of numbers we get, just to see if it improves our single target tank healing. Certainly for the walkers, I think really want more crit, because again, Underworld Medicine crits are huge. You do get the auto crit with the 2-piece set bonus, which is pretty nice. We do need alacrity as well. Alacrity as a Scoundrel, because we are a lot less mobile these days. Probably the least mobile of the 3 healers right now. Remember, we were the most mobile throughout Vanilla and throughout Rise of the Hutt Cartel. We're still not the worst healer in PvP though. Probably the Merc is the worst healer in PvP at the moment. Just due to the fact that when a Merc gets focused, it is very difficult for a Merc to survive. So survivability plagues the mercenary and the commando, whereas the Scoundrel, we've got our stealth. You know, we've always got our stealth, so if they focus on us, we've got our stealth. If we get jumped on by 4 or 5 people, which always happens in PvP, or everyone jumps on you in an arena if you're unfortunate enough to do an arena. But yeah, we do have that advantage of stealth. We don't have the burst healing anymore to really be as effective as we once were in PvP. AoE healing, which mostly comes from Cold to waves, can easily be interrupted and shut down in PvP. So PvP healer, we're better than the commando, not as good as the sorcerer. The sorcerer still is the king, probably even after 3.3. 3.3 we're getting a little bit more mobility. We could channel diagnostic scan on the move. We're getting a buff to our bedside manner. The basics of the Scoundrel healer, it's all about keeping your hots up and executing taking advantage of bedside manner. What bedside manner does is when you consume an upper hand ability, you get bedside manner, which increases your healing. Your healing done, well, in fact, it's all healing done by 3% for the next 6 seconds. It's going up to 5%. It is getting a 2% buff, which is going to be pretty nice. Help us out, single target healing. So certainly what you want to do is stack hots up and then power up your Underworld Medicine. So you stack up your 2 stacks of slow release med pack, you get your Colto pack out on the tank, and then you've got you're sitting there with a charged Underworld Medicine, especially with the auto crit. That's what our healing does rely a lot on, charging up that Underworld Medicine. Can be a bit annoying in a group because most of the time we get sniped because of that, because we sit there and we prepare ourselves. We've got this big heal and there's nothing going on because the commandos just pressed 2 buttons and healed both tanks. And it's like, luckily in hard mode operations, there's plenty of healing to do for us, especially fights like Bulow, Walkers. We're always going to be finding something. So in story mode, it is a bit frustrating as the Scoundrel healer right now. Just because we just keep getting sniped. Sages, of course, with their instant casts, they finish their Mind Crush and get their free Benevolence, or they fire off a Wandering Mend and it bounces to the tank while we're channeling our Underworld Medicine. It is quite annoying, but Underworld Medicine is getting a buff, so hopefully we can compete with the other healers. We're probably in PvE overall, certain fights, certainly like Walkers, we're probably the weakest healer on that. Commandos and Sages much better. Mobility is key in that. There's a lot of AoE on the ground there, plus you get pulled in for the gravity thing as well, which interrupts anything that you're doing. So again, having those more mobile heals certainly works out in their favor. We have to stand still a lot. You always get the red circle, always comes on just when you start channeling Underworld Medicine. Auto crit Underworld Medicine with Bedside Manner, with both relics proccing. I'm gonna heal this tank with one thing. Oh, fuck you, red circle. Yeah, you press the button, a red circle appears. It's like, fuck you, BioWare. And then you face that perilous choice. Do I stay in the circle and take a bit of damage myself, or let the channel finish on the tank, or do I risk moving, losing all those buffs, and the tank dying? It's a horrible place that we're in right now as a Scoundrel healer for that fight. Hopefully a bit of extra mobility. I don't really think that the heal of Underworld Medicine should be buffed. I think if its cast time got reduced a little bit, maybe if we could get like a proc that could reduce its cast time, maybe if we get a critical dot tick, if we put up Vital Shot, a critical dot tick could maybe lower the cast time of Underworld Medicine. That would be more useful than increasing the healing that it does, because most of the time it just gets sniped anyway, and our EHPS tends to be quite low. We have the least efficient in terms of the other healers because we're hot based, because we want to keep those hots up. It's very, very important to keep your slow release med pack up. I would like to have seen that as one stack, slow release med pack. It would have been better, I think, because it's annoying when it falls off. You can refresh it, of course, with the emergency, what is it, emergency scan, emergency heal, I can't remember what it's called. The instant cast one that we use on the move. That heal has been nerfed so much that it's not as important, as we tend to just use it. Even if the tank's at full health and there's slow release med pack's about to fall off, it's just press that button and refresh it. We tend to just refresh it. Again, upper hand, we used to always want to hold on to at least one stack of upper hand, but now get rid of it. They just want to dump upper hand as quickly as possible because of the Bedside Manner buff. Again, consuming the upper hand ability. Our two upper hand consumers are, of course, Colto Pack and emergency med pack, that's what it's called there. I thought about it there. See, emergency med pack, surgical probe if you're an operative. But yeah, we want to be spending them regularly, and of course the emergency med pack now costs energy, so energy is not really an issue for us now, but certainly at the beginning of the expansion when we were adjusting to our new stats, alacrity does play a role. When you get to sort of 192, 198, when we're starting to get to Revenite gear, we're not really worrying. We've got enough alacrity. We've got 7% alacrity, which is pretty much where you should be in terms of alacrity. I think it diminishes, I think it's after 8%, but we don't think we quite need as much as 8%. The fights that we really shine on are fights like Malafar and Underlurker. Certainly Revan as well, we kind of shine there as well, because there's a lot of AoE damage going out, where there's quite a lot of periodic AoE damage going out, raid-wide damage going out. We kind of shine because we do have our Colto Waves, very short cooldown. Our Colto Cloud, which is going to be made more useful in patch 3.3. Basically, the energy cost is getting reduced. That was the biggest problem with Colto Cloud, was it cost a lot of energy and only healed 4 people. It was pretty good if we had to AoE heal on the move though, but again we had to balance that with managing our energy. And of course the old 2-piece set bonus, which was a 15% increase to Colto Cloud's healing, was pretty much mandatory for a while. We are moving towards the new 6-piece, especially in 3.3, which will reduce the cooldown of Colto Cloud by, I think it's 3 seconds or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it does make it a bit more useful because we can use Colto Cloud more, and with its lowered energy cost will mean that we will get an AoE healing boost to an AoE already quite a powerful AoE healing class. Call to waves is very nice if everyone's pulled up, but if everyone's going to separate, like on the fire phase for torque, we get our timer, wait for the fire to count down. When it's about 2 seconds to go, pop your Colto Cloud on the tank. It'll get the tank and the melee DPS, which is nice, and then they hit the fire, and you've got hots ticking on all of them. Ideally, again, if we could time it perfectly, we would ideally have at least a stack of slow release med pack on them as well. So we're not too bad in that fight. We're not too bad in torque HM. So there's not a great deal of movement. We can't help but the Wookiee Rage does knock us back. We're not like a commando that can just stand there with their hold the line up, of course, and just take it and then keep healing. But yeah, we're not a very good burst healer. We're not a very good tank healer is where we kind of struggle. Hopefully in 3.3 that will be addressed, and in PvP we are second. We play second fiddle to the Sage because we were the masters of PvP. The masters of mobility in 2.0, completely reversed in 3.0, complete and utterly reversed in terms of 3.0. But hopefully 3.3 will give us that little bit more. We still have emergency med pack. I keep getting mixed up with that for some reason tonight. I don't know what it is. But yeah, our emergency med pack, it's kind of just been nerfed to the point where it doesn't provide us with a lot of healing and just provides us with a method of sustaining our slow release med pack. Certainly Underworld Medicine is the big one. Very rarely did we rely on Underworld Medicine as a heal in 2.0. We were just mobility and keep hots up essentially was our bag. But now we are very, very different, and certain fights don't suit us very well. But we are getting there. I think they are perfectly viable for PvE. Certainly you're probably going to get replaced by a Sage or a Scoundrel, but luckily in the guild I'm in, there's only 4 healers, so, you know, stuck with me, and 2 of us are Scoundrels, but of course we're in separate raid teams. Of course, you're not going to go with 2 Scoundrel healers, that would be a disaster. That's why when we were just the one team, I was maining a commando, basically, because we can't have a commando, and, you know, you can't, well, you don't really want 2 commandos. 2 commandos not bad, but, you know, you want variety. We don't really have a Sage anymore. So it's going to be, so it's pretty much annoying really, we don't have a Sage, I guess. But again, you don't really want 2 of the same class. You always want the classes to complement each other. So you have the commando deal with the burst healing, deal with the tank healing, and as a Scoundrel you deal with the, you know, you deal with the AoE side, and you keep the tanks. You kind of top up the tanks, really. You top up the tank's health. But you don't do the main bulk of the healing. Again, the commando is going to do the main single target. You're there to kind of supplement the group, essentially. It's almost like a support healer, essentially. We sometimes will heal the tanks, but we're not as effective as a commando. That's basically it. And we're not as mobile as well as a commando. That's the theme. Lack of mobility, lack of burst, but again, these issues will be addressed in 3.3, so it's nice that BioWare are at least taking their time. But we're still perfectly viable in PvP, PvP and PvE, still perfectly. Not like a commando. I was going to say PvE there, but I guess we'll PvE and PvP. We're still not as bad as the commando in PvP at least. And, you know, we are probably sitting at the back of the 3 healers in PvE, but we still have our uses. We still shine. Underlurker is the fight where we shine the brightest, really, because we can sit there, especially with our 6-piece set bonus, we can just sit there and spam Colto waves. You know, it's pretty nice on those moments where we, you know, we need to get, there's massive raid damage and we need to heal it. Sages kind of struggle a little bit on Lurker because they are tied to cooldowns and everyone has to be in the one spot for a lengthy period of time, whereas it's 2.8 seconds, or, well, mine is anyway, with Alacrity. As the channel of Colto waves, but anyway, we're still viable, still good on certain fights. But yeah, so let me know, what do you think of the Scoundrel healer? Should you play one? Yeah, I think you should play one. Bear in mind, it is harder. You have to work harder than the other 2 healers. Not like if you're a Sage, you're just lazy. If you're a Commando, you're lazy as well. If you're a Scoundrel, there's constantly something to do as a healer. Like, there's always hots to refresh. You're always busy healing. You know, if you like to keep busy healing, then yeah, you should definitely go for the big bad Scoundrel healer. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.